I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. I'll call this meeting to order. Our first order of business is public announcements. Let's see, absentee voting ends November 1st. Details may be found at www.fairfieldme.com. Number 2, the 2019 dog licensing tags are available at the town office. Current 2018 dog licenses expire on December 31st. And the Lawrence Public Library will be hosting their annual Halloween event at 33 Lawrence Avenue on Thursday, October 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. Something like tomorrow.
Yeah.
Our second order of business is a public hearing to hear from the public on a proposed local food and community self-governance ordinance. I will declare this public hearing open. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed. Our third order of business is public comments. Members of the public may speak to the council on any item or reserve the right to speak on a specific item that is on the meeting agenda when that item is addressed. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak at this time or reserve the right for a specific item?
I would like to speak.
Okay.
No.
That was for the public hearing. For public comments,
Oh,
you don't have to
oh.
sign in.
Misunderstood you, sorry.
No problem.
Good evening, council members. My name is Susan White. My fiance, Jeff Mosman, is here with me tonight, and we'd like to address you with concerns of extreme noise from our neighbors. We live at 184 Ohio Hill Road. They live at 180 Ohio Hill Road. Mr. Mayhew has three boys, and they ride one-stroke or two-stroke motorbikes, 2 of them. They're very loud. They give off blue smoke. They also ride a modified lawnmower where the exhaust comes straight off the engine, so it spits, sputters, and backfires. It's very, very loud. They also drive a stock car in their backyard, doing donuts, revving the engine. It's disturbing. It's like Unity Raceway in our backyard. Our houses are maybe 100 feet apart. And when they go round and round and round and round, it reverberates through the neighborhood. We can't even hear ourselves talk when we're sitting on our back deck. My fiance works from home. He has a hard time hearing his clients on the phone, even inside the house. He's here, he can speak for himself on that. I'm hoping that something can be done. They also ride these vehicles up and down the road, which we try to catch on video, and they know that we try to. They'll take off on them, and I'll get my phone and try to videotape them, but they shut the engine off on the ride back to their house, and they go. They give fingers and motions to us while we're on our deck. They piss on my lawn. It's, I guess, more harassment than anything, but I was just really hoping that somehow we could change the ordinance to this gyrating, excessive noise to include two-stroke motorcycle, to not allow two-stroke motorcycles and modified lawnmowers and stock cars. It's like Unity Raceway. You know, there's no peace of mind. When you get home from work, you sit on the back deck and you can't, you got all this going on. And I have video I would like to show you. May I?
Okay.
Pass it to you.
Yeah, that's
Is it possible for you to send that video to us in an
I
email?
would love to do that, I'll try to.
If you can send it at the info@fairfieldme.com email address, which is the general Fairfield email address, I can make sure that the video gets shared with the council and we can put it in as a matter of record for the meeting.
Either that
Thank
or,
you.
So,
That's
either
constant.
that or a small memory card.
flash drive, but
Small flash drive, you know.
And the thing is that they have four-wheelers that they ride around also, but those four-wheelers are quiet compared to this. We don't mind that, and we have other neighbors that ride their four-wheelers in their yard as well. But because of the proximity of our homes and these two-strokes, especially when they got both of the two-stroke motorcycles going and the modified lawnmower thing, and then they'll switch off with the stock car, it's obnoxious. That's what I have to say. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
That's crazy.
And I assume, Susan, that that's a constant thing that's
Yes,
happening.
this is pretty much every day. Unless it's absolutely pouring rain outside, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to speak at this time? Seeing none, moving on.
That's an agenda item.
Excuse me.
Want me to speak on that on the agenda item, or would you like me to speak on that now?
Gonna bring that up during the agenda item. It's in the workshop.
it's more appropriate, I think, than doing it under public comment.
Yeah, when we bring it up on the
When we bring
workshop,
it up,
chief,
will work.
if you're not in a major hurry. Okay, thank you. Let's see, reports from staff and committees, our town manager's report.
Okay, so last week on the 16th, the fire chief and I met with what appears to be the low bidder on the fire training facility to see what we could do, if anything, to save funds on the price that came in. We are optimistic that with a more detailed cost estimate, it will help us to get through the have-to-have costs as opposed to some of the maybe nice-to-have costs that could probably be done at a later date. So
Okay.
we're still working on all of that, just to keep you updated. Also, last week, I met with DOT to discuss the possibility of the town mowing the grassy islands that are located at the exit 133 on and off ramp up here on Route 201. MDOT does not have the ability to pay us for those efforts, so therefore we are not going to be maintaining those areas. However, we did discuss their mowing schedule and whether or not they could increase their mowing timeframes for the cycle that they have for that location, and they're going to be looking into boosting that. They think the mowing is currently done by some DOT staff as well as, I do believe, inmates, and they have a cycle that they follow for all their various locations. And the thought process is that they do not come to Fairfield as often as maybe they do, say, the Waterville area. They just don't come up that far, and they're looking at possibly stepping that up. So we'll see how that goes. And then
Okay.
also, I met with Mike Edgecombe. For those of you who don't know or remember, Mike Edgecombe used to be the government manager for Time Warner Cable, where he negotiated franchise agreements on behalf of the cable company. He has retired from the cable industry and now works for Sewell Engineering and helps on the other side with municipalities in their efforts for franchise agreements with cable companies. And we are investigating an option of potentially pooling our bargaining power with all the local municipalities and using him as a consultant. So we'll be continuing to explore that as we work towards our franchise agreement. We had a meeting last week with the First Park Executive Board. Park activities include anticipated new dental office that will be coming in, excuse me, some various site selectors that are coming to visit, and their completed 2017 audit, which didn't show any issues whatsoever. Also, we received an update from KV Cog. Both of our applications for brownfield grants were not accepted. The EPA did not feel that a site assessment of these two locations and turning them into public parking lots was a significant economic development activity, meaning the project doesn't generate any jobs. So we were not successful. They had 7 applications. 2 of them were ours, and at this point, none of their projects have been approved. So we're gonna keep an eye on it and see what happens as time goes by, so, but that's where we're at.
Okay. Committees? Yeah,
Nothing.
nothing. All right, our 5th order of business, to waive the reading of and accept the minutes as printed or amended for meeting number 2018-17 held on October 10th, 2018.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, abstained? 401. Our 6th order of business is the treasurer's warrant. To approve the treasurer's warrant number 25 in the amount of $1,384,068.56.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carries. Our 7th order of business, to take action on the following items of business. Item 18-80, order that the town council hereby adopts the local food and community self-governance ordinance as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I had one concern that was brought to my attention after someone had read that. They were concerned as to whether or not that would have included cannabis in that ordinance for consumption.
I
That's
don't believe so.
I don't believe it does, but it was a concern whether or not it was
I mean,
included in there
it'd be
or not.
like saying you were approving it for beer or alcohol that was
But you
being
can't-
homegrown, you know?
You can't do that unless you have a paper that says that you can have it in the
Right.
first place anyway, so why would they do that?
I think that the state law and rules that will be promulgated by the state will certainly
Override that,
apply
yeah.
to any cannabis products.
Yeah, prescription.
I think that in terms of the way, we don't have to interpret it to include cannabis products. I mean, you could say that about anything somebody decides to put in their mouth, if that was,
Correct.
if you're gonna say, well, if I can eat it, I can do it under this ordinance. Well, there's a lot of stuff that probably isn't
It
rightly
covers,
within the definition of food, somebody can make that argument for.
right.
Well, I mean that, and if you look at the definition for local food, and then you look under purpose, where we describe what we're meaning with this ordinance, it kind of excludes it, because it's specifically talking about, you know, traditional food from family farms. We're trying to preserve that. I don't think that it could be interpreted to include that. And Aaron's right, we don't have to interpret it that way either.
Very good.
I'll be very glad if this passes, that we are finally making good on the promise that we made in our resolution several years ago to do this for the people of Fairfield. And I think that the people who are growing food and, you know, working with their neighbors really deserve the support to continue doing that and to make food, and particularly local food, an affordable and approachable commodity in our town.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Any other comments or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to our 8th order of business, council workshop and other business. Number 1, discuss the public safety ordinance, noise control. Chief?
I wrote a memo that you may have a copy of regarding the noise ordinance. I was able to hear the video but haven't seen it yet, and it does sound like it's relatively loud. I would not be opposed to looking into changes to the public safety ordinance, the noise ordinance, but as far as barring 2-cycle engines, I don't think that's feasible. I mean, chainsaws are two-cycle, most dirt bikes are two-cycle, snowmobiles are. The blue smoke that they produce, that's just a byproduct of how they run. But running a vehicle without an exhaust on it, that could be a criminal matter. I don't know that it would be maybe something that the Warden's Service would look into, but I can look out publicly and see if there are any other municipal ordinances that have something in there that covers operating engines without an exhaust system. This is a little different than a vehicle. A vehicle is operated on a public way. We have a lot of control over that. This is on people's private property that they're being utilized for the most part. I understand maybe they are doing some up and down the road. And I haven't looked into the call logs since 2 weeks ago when I was approached by the town manager, but there were very few calls in that block for noise violations. But yes, I can look into something, but I don't know how we would figure out what level to utilize, how we would measure that level to show that it's a violation other than people's hearing and whether it bothers the neighbors. And then there has to be some sort of a standard for the noise level. I mean, what bothers some people doesn't bother other people.
I do believe, though, that there was something mentioned about 6 o'clock in the morning it being done as well.
That would be, yes, yeah, there are times in the ordinance. I don't know, I haven't researched our calls time-wise. The ones that I did look at were quite old. There had been a few, I believe, this summer that were made, but I didn't see who the actual complainant was. It just gives me the raw numbers and the times.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other stuff kind of almost looks like it falls into a harassment possibility too.
That is possible, and I'm willing to speak with them after the meeting in the hallway and give them some guidance as to how they should approach that with us, if that's okay with accepting the deal. Yeah.
Yeah, and the warden service, I mean, if it's a ATV or something, but if it's a motorcycle, it's not really warden service, or if it's a car.
Well, if it's not registered or a vehicle on their own private property.
Did you not say that there was no helmets on any of those young boys that were out there?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Again, if it's reported to us, we would investigate each incident as far as safety goes, and but going back to the noise, which was what this is actually about, we'd still have to have some way of measuring it and have a threshold that would have to be broken in order for us to issue a violation. Normally, with noise violations, we tend to utilize the disorderly conduct statute, which has a lot more teeth in it. It's actually a crime, so violations of our warnings could be arrestable. Whereas if we formulate something into this ordinance, it's probably not going to have the teeth that the disorderly conduct law would.
Chief, before we undertake a rewrite of an ordinance, and my hope is that there might be something within existing law that can address the situation that's been brought to us today, and it sounds like you have a plan to pursue that. I guess my question is, in general, does your department have the tools it needs to deal with complaints when they're coming in, or have you felt that you and your officers are being left without a remedy in situations?
Historically, the disorderly conduct clause has been what we've utilized, and it's been very effective.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm going out on a limb here that you don't have any decibel meters to actually record these levels.
We don't. And then if we do have them, they would have to be certified. However often, I would assume a judge would want them certified.
Yeah.
Not certified, but
Calibrated.
calibrated,
Yes.
correct. It wouldn't be a huge expense, but I don't know how expensive it would be to have them calibrated and how often that would have to take place. And then
Typically, they're
we would have to
yearly.
have, pardon me?
Dealing with other electronics and things, and the
Well, the radar units that we have in our vehicle are calibrated yearly.
Yep.
That's quite expensive, but it's only yearly, and those are pretty flawless pieces of equipment. They very, very rarely have any issues with them. But I have no no dealings with sound equipment.
So in some of my research for decimeters, if you get outside of the $100 range, more towards the $200, $300, $400 range, some of those include an annual calibration. It comes with, 3 years or 4 years of annual calibration pieces where you would ship it back to the manufacturer. They would calibrate it, send it back to you. So how much it would be after that fact, I'm not sure, but it was not typically. Some of the decimeters you look at in the $100 range, I did not find that any of that was included. So you got to get up higher in the price range to get that included in there.
So actually, Chief, probably the best thing for them to do, even after they talk to you, is if anything occurs out there that they feel is a violation, that they should document everything and just keep collecting evidence.
Absolutely,
bring
and
it
contacting the police when
directly.
it happens, giving us a call. We can't help anybody if we don't know that there's an issue going on in a certain location. And the fact that it was called and reported once or twice doesn't mean that it has raised a red flag to enough of the officers so that they continually respond in that area to watch that. So if they respond to a call, especially a noise call, and that's quite frequently happens, people will call the police because the noise is loud. The police come, they turn it down, they leave, the noise goes back up again, they don't call the police again. And if we don't know that the noise hasn't gone back up again, we don't know to go back into that area to check it. So
Right.
I'll explain that to you in the hallway, and we'll try to hammer out some sort of a plan that can get some semblance of sanity back into that area. Okay?
Thank you.
The other issue that I was gonna mention about the decimeters is, if we decide to go that route, we would have to have in the ordinance a specific location or a distance from the equipment and a sound level that would have to be broken, and
I'm sure somebody out there must have this ordinance
I'm
already.
sure somebody
I'm sure we
must.
wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel.
I've never seen one before, but I will look for that.
Okay. I mean, we can't, you should be able to have quiet enjoyment of your own property. I mean, there should be some recourse to, that being taken away from you.
Well, there's a balancing there. You have to have the ability to operate equipment on your own property if you want to as well. So there should be some sort of a happy medium, and
Right.
hopefully we can find it. But an ordinance is an ordinance, and it doesn't have the teeth that the criminal laws do. So
Correct.
even if we come up with an ordinance, our hands are still gonna be kind of tied.
Fair enough.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're the next speaker.
I walked away and realized that.
Don't walk away on this one.
Okay. Next up.
Yes.
Next up.
Mutual aid agreements.
In going through our mutual aid agreements, most of them are very, very old. The newest one that I found was 2007.
Wow.
We did sign a new agreement with Winslow, Oakland, and Waterville not too long ago. I believe maybe a year or so ago, I brought a packet to council. This packet mirrors that. It just covers other jurisdictions that we routinely back up, and that is Benton, the Kennebec County Sheriff's Department, and I could not find one for Clinton. I'm sure there was one at some point, but it was lost in our record systems. And Skowhegan, those are very, very old, and they just need to be redone. So I believe there should be 3 there, right? There's
Yes.
one from Clinton,
3. Yep.
one from Benton, and
Skowhegan.
Skowhegan.
Yes.
The only issue with Benton that I know of, we do respond there to back their offices once in a while, but our policy for emergency incidents that occur at the school, I have no interest in changing that at this time. We will still respond there automatically if there's a call of any type of violence or any incident going on to the school. My officers will respond immediately, and we'll worry about whatever paperwork we need to fill out later
Yep.
on.
Great,
Absolutely.
good.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. right, number 3, other council business. Courtney?
Nope, nothing tonight.
Beverly?
No, nothing from me either.
John?
Nothing. Do we want to put this on the agenda next?
Yes, the
so we can get
mutual aid
this-
agreement.
The mutual aid agreement, so that we can get,
I've already got it on the next agenda.
okay.
All right,
I'm way ahead of you.
all right,
Well, just double checking. It's called communications.
absolutely. Aaron?
Just that it is getting cold and snowy, and if you have neighbors or friends in town that you haven't checked in on or are concerned about, give them a call, check in. It can be a tough time of year for people, and go Red Sox. It's the most partisan stance I'm going to take
Be
tonight.
quiet. I like them, but be quiet, just a second.
All right, and I believe I am all set for this evening. Let's see, with that, the next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, November 14th, 2018. And at this time, we will go into recess and sign all documents that require signatures.
So moved.
Second.
We're in recess.